Katie Bainline. I am the garden coordinator at Logos Public Charter School, and it is February. I'm here to talk to you today about what to do in the in-between season when it's starting to be sunny out, but it's still pretty cold out, and what can you actually plant in your garden and when. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about dreaming and planning for the season. So I have a worksheet for you guys. It's up on the garden website. And it is for you to start thinking about 3 plants that you most want to eat this year, 3 plants that you think would be the most beautiful to plant this year, and 3 plants that you are curious about how they grow, because gardening is just one big experiment. So, where do you find this information about to discover what plants you are curious about or you want to eat or can be the most beautiful? I highly recommend doing some online research for local seed companies, and there's 2 that I recommend. One of them is Territorial Seed Company, and they're located up near Portland area. So you can go to their website to get a whole bunch of different ideas for seeds that are plants that are adapted to our Oregon climate. For even more local, you can check out the Siskiyou Seed Company, and their website will tell you even more specifically plants that grow well in Southern Oregon. So you can head on their website and start filling out your dream worksheet. When you're done with that, you can start thinking about which of those plants you can actually start growing now. All right, Oregon Tilth has this awesome guide to planting and harvesting various crops. So you'll notice that there is a color code. There's both the dotted symbol and the blue symbol. The dotted symbol means when the crop can be started to be planted, and the blue symbol shows when the crop can start to be harvested. So you'll notice that there in February, there are a few crops that you can start to plant: broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, collard greens, kale, lettuce, mustard greens, and Swiss chard. And even though you could technically plant those outside, I highly recommend you starting them indoors, because when these plants are really itty bitty, they're definitely good to pamper them. Keep them warm and watered and give them lots of sunlight in your windowsill. And then you can give them the best chance at life before you transplant them outdoors. And I recommend, we're going to be talking next month a little bit about container gardening, specifically with root crops. But that is when you could probably start transplanting your greens, like lettuce, more in March. So if you give your plants about a month to grow really big and strong inside your house, then they'll have an even better chance to survive when you put them outside. So let me tell you a little bit about how you're going to do that. All right, so I picked out some seeds to show you. We've got cabbage, lettuce, broccoli. This is rainbow Swiss chard, mustard greens, kale, and spinach. And all of these things you can start growing right now in your home. So I talked about this a bit last year with my videos, but how to read a seed packet. So on the back, there will usually be days to germination, meaning the amount of days that it probably takes that seed to start growing in your house, the depth that you should plant it, how far apart you should plant it out in your garden bed, and how far apart the rows are going to be, and how long it takes until you can actually eat the plant. So those are really, really helpful information. So let's take this lettuce here. And you can plant it in your house in any variety of ways. You can buy these or get these probably from a friend, or if you've planted before, you usually buy starts in something like this. You can reuse these. You could use any sort of cup, like a styrofoam cup or a plastic cup, a yogurt container, or anything else that you might be recycling. Or even egg cartons are great ways to reuse things that you'd be normally throwing away to start your plants. So what I recommend is that you plant you put some potting soil in your container, and then follow the guidelines on the back of the packet. So this lettuce needs to be planted 1/8 of an inch down into the soil. So you'll measure an 1/8 of an inch down, which is hardly anything. Really, you probably just put some seeds on the surface and cover it up with some more soil. And you're not going to worry about the seed spacing yet because you're not planting them out in your garden yet. So we'll talk about that next month when we do transplanting. So after you have planted your seeds, you can keep them watered, spray them with a spray bottle, keep the soil moist. You'll probably want to put something underneath this like a tray, and then put it in a windowsill or another bright place, and just take care of them until they start growing. All right, finally, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the goodie that I'll be sending home with you this month. I've been having so much fun with Oregon Agriculture in the Classroom's commodity box, and this month the theme is greenhouses, which is actually, you wouldn't think that was a crop, but Oregon is actually the nation's largest producer of coniferous greens, deciduous shade trees, and deciduous flowering trees in the nation, and most of them are grown in greenhouses. Now think to yourself, why would a greenhouse be an important tool for a gardener or someone who's trying to grow plants? Think to yourself for a second, or talk to someone next to you. All right, so greenhouses actually provide a really safe place for plants to grow all year round, or during months of the year that are maybe more harsh for the plant. So let's say that you have a plant that does really well in cooler environments, but in the summer it gets really hot. A greenhouse could be a great way to control the temperature. And same thing in the wintertime. If you want to be growing some plants in the wintertime, or right now in the shoulder seasons where it's cold and not as much light, you can use a greenhouse to help extend your growing season. So this month, I will be sending home with you the materials that you'll need to do an experiment in your house about a greenhouse. And there will be on our garden website the teacher guide for the steps that you could take to do this lesson. Included is a tutorial that gives you a step-by-step on how to use the materials, but I'm just going to show you real quick what they are. So you have a black cup, you have a clear cup with some electrical tape on it that you'll be using in the experiment, a piece of black construction paper, the top to the cup, a circle of peat moss that you'll be growing seeds in, and then a packet of seeds. And then in addition, you'll be getting a 3-volt battery and a small LED light that will help you with your experiment as well. So make sure that you have all of those materials. And if you don't, let me know. I can try to replace them for you. And then you'll also have some student worksheets that you can use to help complete your experiment. So you're going to be thinking a little bit about where food is grown, specifically in cities. Are you able to grow food in a city? And then there's some videos to watch. Like there's a video on growing produce in a cold area that gets a lot of snow. A video for you to watch to set up your experiment. And then there's the instructions on how to set it up. And then there's a series of blank places for you to draw what's going on day by day with your plant, your little desk greenhouse. So they ask you to observe 4 days, and then you can construct your light for your greenhouse, which is using the LED light and the battery. And then you'll be observing for 4 more days to see what will happen. And then if you want to learn a little bit more about why light is important for plants, you can watch another video and then learn a little bit about photosynthesis, which is the process that plants take sunlight and turn it into food for themselves. So this is a totally comprehensive packet. Feel free to use it for your science curriculum for this month, for this week. Talk to your ES about what you've learned, but most importantly, have fun. So I hope you have fun with these desk greenhouses, and I will see you next month in March for our video about growing root crops during the spring. And then one other plug, the end of February, we have our first in-person garden event where we will be actually starting seeds in the method that I showed you, as well as sharing seeds with each other and getting ready for the exciting garden season coming up. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and